Alright guys, today we're going to be breaking down Sterling Cooper, his response. It's called Getting Over Your Red Pill Rage with Women. It's basically a video that he made concerning what the red pill is and how to adjust and adapt to the realities of the red pill, which he admits are true. I'm not going to watch the whole video. It's a 15-minute video. We're going to watch a couple parts of it, and then we're going to break it down, basically, certain key parts, and I'm going to talk about why he's still in a blue pill mindset, why he's still in a I guess you could say purple pill mindset, but mostly kind of still blue pilled. A lot of guys come into the red pill manosphere and they listen to what we have to say and they agree with some points, but they can never fully leave the matrix because the matrix is still good to them, if that makes sense. They never really fully wake up because and his is a classic example of not fully waking up. And just like, if you remember that, I think his name is Cypher, pretty sure it's Cypher, in the movie The Matrix. He's the guy who kind of double crossed the team, and he kind of turned them into, he was basically the Judas character in The Matrix. I think his name is Dan Pantaleone, something Pantaleone is the actor's name. Anyway, the bald guy, and he's the guy who's like eating the fake steak. And whenever I always use that term, oh, this guy loves the fake steak, meaning even though at one point, you know, you were on your way to leave the matrix, even though at one point you kind of got red pilled a little bit, like you kind of have taken some red pill ideology, some red pill truths, and you've digested them somewhat, you're still not left the matrix because you're still on the plantation. You're still supporting the very things that created the problem in the first place, right? You've just maybe adjusted your thinking a little bit. You've maybe kind of feng shuied your little worldview into something that is more palatable, as opposed to the hardcore red pill truth, which is hard to swallow, because the reality of what's really going on, the reality of, yeah, you could say female nature, and yeah, you could say the way, and he talks about it, the way that society treats women, or coddles women, I should say, and uplifts their negative parts, or uplifts their negative behaviors. Instead of being against that, you just adjust to it, or you somehow support it in some way. And that's what I call never fully leaving the matrix. That's why I say eating the fake steak, meaning you're still enjoying the fruits of the matrix without actually, trying to fight against it. Now, it's always been a question on my channel, is like, how do you fight against it? And I always say it starts with the parents. It does matter. It does start with society, and it starts with education and truth. I don't believe what he says when he says that the answer is to just accept female nature for what it is and to not blame women. So his is a convenient way to look around, and he a lot of guys choose not to be angry at women because they're still getting sustenance from women. They're still getting sex from women. They're still getting relationships for women, this, that, and the third. And what they've really done is they've actually kind of learned to placate women and manipulate women and kind of, learn how to like jujitsu women's emotions to get what they want from women, which is just, a form of manipulation. You could call that game, I guess. But they're really still using women, as opposed to something like, we need to educate women. We need to red pill women. We need to teach women how to treat men. We need to teach women how to behave. And part of that is living in the truth ourselves. Part of that is practicing the truth ourselves, practicing a kind of behavior that doesn't allow simping, that doesn't allow this beta blue pill mindset, that doesn't accept bad female behavior. If you have, if you study psychology, nature versus nurture, if you have an environment that is not conducive to BS, there's going to be less BS. So if men out there as a whole reject modern feminism, if they reject modern female bad behavior, then there's going to be a positive net outcome for that. The problem, a big part of the problem, is that men are playing into it. Men are joining in on the degeneracy because it's so easy to do and it's so beneficial for the short term. The short term benefits are, hey, I get a lot of sex, I don't have to commit. I can play with these women's emotions because they're easily manipulated, because they have no strong character foundation. They don't live in the truth. They're liars themselves. They're manipulators themselves. They're sluts and this, that, and the third. It's very beneficial, but it's very beneficial for the short term, but it's not beneficial for the long term. What about kids? What about future society? What about future families? What about the integrity of half of the population? Women are 50% of the population, right? So that's going to have a gigantic impact on our future. So the red pill actually is not only, I always say, the red pill is the truth, but what we do with the red pill, and that's true, the red pill is the truth, but it's not quite just the truth, because what do we do with the truth? If the truth adjusts our behavior and it adjusts the way we react to what's going on, then there's going to be a positive net outcome. So I disagree, obviously, with what he's going to say, which is that, oh, hey, you need to just accept female nature for what it is, stop being angry and be more mad at society. So he says that. But let's kind of jump into some of the things he's saying and kind of break it down, and I'll respond.
Naivete, right? And it was kind of frustrating it's super frustrating whenever your worldview is flipped on its head.
So he's talking about how he used to be blue-pilled, and now, mind you, this is a guy who's a porn star, okay? I don't know how much of a star, quote-unquote, you would call him, but he was in the porn business, right? And I guess that's what he's somewhat known for, and then he got into the manosphere, he got into the truth movement kind of thing, and he's somewhat of a... I wouldn't use the word charlatan, but I would say he's somebody who's coming... I don't even know if I'd use the word grifter either. He's a profiteer. He's a profiteer, and that's more of a nice word. That's a nicer way to put it. If you straight up call him a grifter, that means he's a total fraud. I don't think a lot of guys who are labeled frauds in the manosphere are total frauds. I think they do experience red pill, moments which causes them to be red pilled. But I think that you can tell that certain people, they're really just in it for the money. Here's a guy who's just in it for the fame, money, because it's a fountain that can be tapped into, a stream of revenue that can be tapped into for whatever reason. I guess he's not doing porn anymore. I don't know if that, why that dried up for him. It's, but based on that, is the guy's opinion really that solid? It's just like Andrew Tate. How did they make their money? How did they get famous? How do we know them? We have to look at those things. Andrew Tate made his money on cam sites, and people respect him because he's out there balling, buying Lamborghinis, buying Bugattis, buying mansions. But how did he make his money? He made his money by manipulating simps, right? Manipulating weak men, and then he's going to come around and tell you how to be a strong man. He's going to come around and preach some kind of moral superiority. Really doesn't make sense, And it's kind of the same thing with this guy. It's like, you're a porn star. Oh, you're a part of the degeneracy, and then you're going to come around and try to tell us and come into the red pill manosphere and tell us how to conduct our lives, and how you're the authority on leaving the matrix. You're the authority on leaving the on how not to have red pill rage. Oh, red pill rage is bad. Like, no, red pill rage is a natural reaction, and I think he says it's a natural reaction, which is fine to his credit. It's not that red pill rage is bad in and of itself. It's that rage in and of itself is bad. It's not good for anybody, really, necessarily. It's not good to be angry, but it's a natural reaction. I don't know if I don't even know if I'd use the word anger. I would probably use the word, it's probably just more disappointing than anything. For at least for me, I was more disappointed than anything. Is that it's most of it's a lie, But it's not all a lie necessarily either, and I've always said that too. Is there's always exceptions. Exceptions prove the rule true, but there's always exceptions. I would never say that true love doesn't exist. I question whether true love exists without financial security or without certain guarantees, certain standards, certain conditions being met, right? And so that's something on my channel I've always been concerned about. But there's always exceptions, but we talk about the major behavior as the whole. So can somebody who was a big part of the downward spiral, a big part of the degeneracy, you made porn is what is ruining society, and so you're going to come around and tell us how to leave the matrix? You're going to come around and tell us how to not be red pill, how not to be disappointed with red pill rage and things like that? Of course the advice is going to be some BS, and so let's hear it.
But you have to make a decision. Are you going to live in denial of the nature of reality, or are you going to have to reassess your understanding of the world? You've just been...
Nobody's living in denial. We are admitting the truth. We speak the truth. If anything, we're doing the opposite of living in denial. We are. So I don't know where he got that. Like, red pill guys don't live in denial. Red pill guys are actually living in a bigger reality. Actually, it's the blue pill guys who are living in denial, right? The closer you get to the truth, the less you are living in denial. And so when you speak the truth, people say, oh, you're just angry and blah, blah, and that's just a way to shout you down. That's a way to deny the truth, right? The way to deny the truth is to attack the messenger, attack the humanity, or I should say attack the personality or whatever of the behavior of the person who's bringing you the truth. That's the way. Oh, you're just an incel. Oh, you're just bitter. Oh, you've got that red pill rage. Da, da, da. That's denial. What's not denial is saying, hey, there's a problem here. Hey, let's fix this. Hey, why are they behaving this way? That's the opposite of denial.
Given a bunch of evidence, a bunch of insights into how the world actually works. It conflicts with how you used to think the world works, so now you have to change your worldview. This requires you to humble yourself, if I'm being perfectly honest. This requires you to swallow your pride, and it's damaging to your ego to find out that you were wrong. But there's one thing I've noticed that is a universal trait amongst successful people. It's that they were able to admit that they were wrong about something. It makes them...
That's fine, and maybe some blue pill guys need to hear that. I know there's some blue pill guys who actually are in denial, so maybe he's talking about that too. There are blue pill guys who are in denial, who are holding on to the blue pill dream, which is that, oh, women are perfect, and no, women, it's the guys who are wrong. It's the guys who are exposing them that are wrong. They're just haters, and I don't even know if I'd even use a word as tame as denial. I might use a word more provocative, a stronger word like delusion. You're delusional if you think that women are these fairer sex creatures that do no wrong. I mean, that's delusion. So I guess he's speaking some truth there.
Also, it also makes it extremely hard to control and manipulate when you're aware that you are, you were manipulated at some point.
That's true. The more you get red pilled, the more, the less you are able to be manipulated. That is true, I believe. The more closer you are to the truth, the less you are able to be manipulated.
By the mainstream narrative, by what we call blue pill lies, right? So take that, the solace that if you're able to actually get to this point, it is a good thing. Now, how do you kind of move on, and how do you get over the rage part, right? How do you stop blaming women for all of your problems? You see, women aren't the problem.
Okay, who said that, though? Who said that red pill men are blaming women for all their problems? I don't think that red pill men blame women for all their problems. I think that there's a very specific group of problems that are related to women, such as divorce court, such as broken hearts, such as being lied to, cheated on, manipulated, gaslit, friend zoned, dumped, ignored, ghosted, made fun of, rejected. There's a whole specific list of things that it's not all of our problems. The thing is that the real problem is that men love women and men want a quality woman in their life. And if all we have to deal with are these messed up, jaded, high body count, damaged women out there who are hurting us, who are manipulating us, who are lying to us, who are making fun of us and doing all these things, that is a big problem in our life, because people need love, people need companionship, and it is a cultural problem, but it's also a problem that women are perpetuating and playing into, because they're the ones who are engaging in it. And so to remove accountability from them and act like, oh, well, women aren't the problem, it's society, or it's this or it's that, is not helping anything, because in order to change something, accountability needs to be assigned. So if men are complaining about women, that doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean that they're saying, women are all their problems in their life. But women have a lot to do with it, because what are the major things in life? Family, marriage, love, finances, career, paying rent, and recreation, vacations, and enjoying life. Those are like the main things in life. I mean, I'm not adding spirituality or religion in there, or like a higher purpose, hobbies, things like that. But really, if you think about it, women are related to almost all those things. Because if you have a quality wife who can do all those things with you, help you with dinner, help you with bills, help you with stress, help you with go on vacations with you, enjoy life with you, that's a major, major, major thing in life, right? So of course it's going to affect guys' lives, men's lives drastically. It just stands to reason, because women are a major part of what. So you kind of have to be a misogynist, or you kind of have to objectify women to think that's not a major problem. You would have to like minimalize the importance of women. You would have to like, oh, and he talks about that later. Is he acts like, because he gives women an out. He takes away accountability, because he acts like, oh, well, women are just acting like children, and so you just think of them like children. They don't. And that's what happens when you remove accountability from something. You childize that thing. You make it because a child doesn't have responsibility. A child doesn't have accountability. It's the parents who have the accountability. So when you remove accountability from a woman, you're childizing her. You're making her a child. And to say that is misogynistic. There's really no other word for it. It's you are downgrading her humanity. You're downgrading her responsibility as an adult. You are downgrading her position as an adult. And this is what these kind of purple pill kind of white, I would say it's still kind of a white knight thing to do. It's a manipulative kind of misogynistic white knight leftist kind of beta thing to. I've talked about this before. There's a lot of guys out there who do this. And they're usually left-leaning. They're usually these white knight kind of guys. They'll stand up for women, but at the same time, they'll treat women like children. They will coddle women and not... They'd rather leave women in the dark. They don't want women in reality. They don't want women living in the truth, because they benefit off of women continuing to act as they act. And that's a big problem, because... like I said, they're manipulating women for what they want, which is sex, or, the benefits of being, the benefits of these women being childlike. If somebody matures and grows up, it's harder to manipulate them, because they're just more mature. They're more realistic. If we continue to, oh no, the problem's with society. Oh no, the problem's not with women. So if you continue to talk bad about women, that means you're still in the rage phase of red pill. And it's like, no, exposing the lies is what is helping women, because it's saying, hey, you need to wake up, be an adult, mature. Don't stay in this immature state just because there's benefits to you, just because you can use men and this, that, and the third. You have to grow up and live in the truth and live in reality, and that's what the red pill can do for women, not just for men. It can free women from the cycle, all the negative patterns, all the negative things that come with that type of degenerate lifestyle, right? But unfortunately, you got guys out here who are like, "Oh no, you can't put any blame on the woman because she's just going to do what her nature is, and her nature is to be hypergamous, and her nature is to use men, her nature is to find the best man, blah blah blah." When in reality, what's really going on is these women are not finding any man for long term because they're just getting used, and so their hypergamy is getting used against them. They're being manipulated by their own nature, and so women need to understand this is like, hey, maybe your nature is to be hypergamous, maybe your nature is to find the best quality man, whatever, but you can bypass that if you understand it. You can bypass that, and we can teach you and give you tools to look for something better, look for a better type of man, look for I should say it, look for love instead of, oh, the best man. Look for a certain type of qualities, not just these outward signals and signs of success, which is what they're looking for, and then they're getting used and they're getting pumped and dumped by guys like Striling Cooper, who just learn how to manipulate hypergamy. And that's all PUA is, that's all game is. It's just a manipulation of female nature. And it's that I always say game and PUA goes hand in hand with female nature, but or excuse me, with the red pill, because the red pill talks about female nature, but PUA is still a manipulation. You're not, it's not about love. And these game coaches and PUA guys talk about like, oh yeah, you can find your future wife with game, and yeah, you can, but it's really teaching you just how to score. And so you would have to have a totally different approach from a lot of the tools that they teach you if you really wanted to find love. And what I always say is you have to have a foundation of certain traditional, wholesome, righteous, moral qualities in order to assess if somebody is the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life. And this is what I would teach women to look for in a man, not just these signals of outward success. Oh, he's got a good job, da 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 da. Oh, this guy's got a better job, this guy's got a better car, because that's a pitfall that can easily turn into like a pit of just chasing after guy, and that's what guys have learned to manipulate. That's why guys say, oh, chase money, not women, chase success, not women, because they know if you get the money, if you get the success, you will get the woman. But they're not saying you're going to get a quality love life. They're not saying you're going to get a quality love relationship, a monogamous, peaceful, godly, loving relationship that is long lasting. They're just saying, oh yeah, you're going to get better type women, whatever, because yeah, it's true that if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to attract lower quality women, if any women at all. But so what if you, and I mean lower quality women in the sense of like looks, but so what if you get hotter women? If they're not quality on the inside, if they're not quality in their heart, then you're not winning. And I wouldn't even say them as in like plural. You need one. And it's the same with a woman, is like you need one. You need one person who's a partner for life, who loves you for life, who wants to start a family with you, who wants to love you till death do you part. And remember the old school vows, sickness and in health, and for richer or for poor. And people forgot that. People have forgotten those vows. People have made their own vows, and they've twisted it, and they've redubbed, so to speak. They've readjusted values into their own selfish concept of the future. And what has it done? It's divorce and unhappiness, and it's like it's all kinds of problems. But let's go on and listen.
Your rejection of their true nature, that's the problem. A tiger has stripes.
Right, and guys in the red pill are not necessarily rejecting females' nature. Now, maybe he's talking to blue pill guys here, which is a truth. If you're a blue pill guy, you shouldn't reject their nature. You should live in the truth. But it's like it's an uncomfortable passage. It's an uncomfortable transition. It's an uncomfortable truth that takes a while to swallow, because you have to go through unadjust. You have to go through a worldview adjustment. You were raised by Disney movies that told you love is this beautiful thing and it's this special great thing, and in reality, women are out here chasing guys because they have nice cars, chasing guys because they've got a diamond watch, chasing guys because they're bad boys, and that's a hard pill to swallow, and a lot of guys can't deal with it, so they live in denial, and they just kind of shell up, and they defend women, and it's like you're really defending your ideology, not the reality. So what he's saying is true. There is that, yeah, you got to accept their true nature, but I wouldn't say accept meaning like, well, that's just the way they are and that's the way they'll always be. Again, if you're on the other side of the red pill, you really left the Matrix, you'll come back to the Matrix in order to help the Matrix, which is what Neo did. Or excuse me, to help the Matrix. You will come back to free others from the Matrix. The Matrix is just something you need to leave. The Matrix is not a good zone. And yeah, the world is not a good zone, but you can free people from that type of world. But we live on Earth. There's a difference between Earth and the world, right? The world is a system. Earth is the grounds where that system takes place. So people can be saved from Earth, or excuse me, saved from the world matrix system, which is controlled by Satan, really, and be freed to be, free inhabitants of the earth. And that's what you should try to do to free people. Is the truth? If it frees people, it should free them from any type of slavery, whether it's financial, mental, emotional, spiritual slavery. It's like what Bob Marley said. Emancipate yourself from slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. You got to free your mind. You got to free yourself one way or the other, whether it's through God or whether it's through the truth, right? And we can help others be free, right? But the truth sets you free. The Bible says the truth will set you free. The truth always sets you free. Meaning, when you accept the truth and you recognize the truth, you will be freed from any type. The lie and the manipulation is what enslaves people. People are always enslaved with a lie. The world is a lie. The way the world is run is a lie. The way society and social constructs, not all of it, but if it's part of that downward degenerate trend, then it's a lie. It's a type of manipulation, and it's probably spiritual or psychological or emotional, and it hurts people, and people need to be freed with the truth. So yes, accepting female nature can free you from that, but then it's like, what do you do with that point? Like, is female nature something just ironclad that can never change, or is it something that we can I wouldn't even say educate, but is it something that we can habitually change through the truth? And yeah, maybe I would use the word educate. Through education, can we free and change the behavior and the patterns of this downward trend? I believe yes. I believe that nature is something that can be over. What's the word? I can't think of that word. Something that can be overruled or it's something we can get around. And do we really have to fully throw it out? Yeah, women want security, but there's a difference between a woman wanting security and a woman jumping from guy to guy to guy. And how would you change that? You would say, well, you got to stop sleeping with these guys. You got to stop taking your pants off. You got to stop being sexual. You got to, so part of that education would be like, look, if you don't want to be respected and if you don't want to be disrespected and used and you want love, then you got to keep your pants on. You got to stop sleeping with these guys, right? And that's something that parents should teach their daughters. But then on the other hand, some women do want sex, and then you got to say, well, you get what you get in that case. You can't be like, oh, I want love, and I don't understand why nobody wants to marry me when you want sex. That doesn't make sense. So part of maturing is also living in the truth and accepting and owning what you really want. So that's the parents' job, to teach the children, hey, be honest with yourself. You can't be out here saying one thing and doing another and then acting like a victim, because that's not helping anybody, and that's just wasting your time. It's making people distrust your gender. It's just not good all around.
deal with it. Once you understand the nature of the beast that you're dealing with, it's a lot easier to come to terms with reality. You have to stop rejecting their nature. You have to stop, because that is where a lot of the frustration and red pill rage, in my opinion, actually comes from, is dudes who've kind of learnt this stuff, but they still hold on to this kind of lingering idea of, women being sugar and spice and everything nice. And
I mean, he's kind of true, but he's kind of not true. It's like there's a spectrum of what he's saying, yes, but part of red pill rage is being upset that women are not, pure, or women are not. It's not like, for me, it was like I was upset that, like, hey, I can't just go find a wife. You would think that, like, oh, well, there's going to be some women out there who really want exactly what I want, and for the most part, no. For the most part, it wasn't like that, and I couldn't. Where I was upset was I couldn't find someone who was like, hey, I want love too, and I don't care about your money. It's like, if they wanted love, they cared about your money. If they didn't want love, then they cared about, like, are you a bad boy? So it's like you can't win either way. Like, if they want love, then the condition is that you buy their love. The condition is that you have money in order to take care of them, and you got to provide security. But if you don't have that, they won't love you. And of course, oh yeah, you got to look like Chad and be a hot guy. But even if you're a hot guy, if you're broke, they'll still leave you, because female nature needs that security. So what, for me, it was like, it was like, well, yeah, you could go have fun and go mess around with these loose women, but I want a woman who's gonna love me for me, and I want a woman who's gonna not be an ex slut, who's not gonna have all these past body counts, right? But I couldn't find that, because the ones who did want that really were already past the wall, had already had their fun, had already rode the cock carousel, got off, and now they want to settle down, but now they want a guy with money. So it's like you're losing on top of losing. And then if you can find one who's below age 25, who does not have who does want to get married and doesn't have a high body count, maybe is a godly woman, you got to make money, you got to pay, you got to buy her. So it's like you can't win any which way you look at it. So for me, that was kind of the issue. But I think he's kind of here's kind of when I say spectrum, I mean he's kind of encompassing a lot. He's kind of talking about blue pill guys, and he's also talking about red pill guys. He's saying blue pill guys are still in denial, whereas red pill guys are on the other side of denial, but then they're mad, and they're like, they won't accept that women are like that. It's like, you can't win any which way you look at it, because yeah, and he's right, is that you got to accept it, but then what do you do when you accept it? So let's go on and listen to what he says.
This I like to call the Disney Hallmark bullshit fantasy.
Yeah,
still,
I agree.
somewhere in their subconscious, they're still holding on to that as a fantasy. It's like, well, no, just accept women for what they actually are. Accept the nature of the beast and learn to deal with it. Doesn't mean you can't love women. You can absolutely love women, but you need to love them for what they are.
Wrong. That's incorrect. You can't love something that's not lovable. If and exactly what I just said. If there's no way of winning, if there's no way of, oh well, I've got the woman who, and that's what I say when I say fake steak. Love them for what they really are, is kind of the same thing as saying, well, I know this steak is fake, but I'm still enjoying it. I know, and that's exactly what happened in the movie with that guy Cypher. Is he was eating the steak and he's like, "Oh, it's so good. I know that it's fake, but it's so good." And it's like, maybe you can enjoy women, but you can't love that. And it's like, at best you could maybe sleep with them. At best you could maybe mess around with them. And I'm not encouraging that because that's immoral, but that's the best you can get out of it. Because if they can't really love you for who you are, if their love is conditional upon your ability to provide security and resources, and if they have a high body count so you can't get a pure one, if you can't win, then you can't love them. So I disagree with that. What he just said was incorrect. It's not the way to go about it. There's nothing you can do. It's a losing proposition all around. So your choices is like, you don't have much choices. You just have to you accept reality for what it is, but that doesn't mean you go back to the matrix. That doesn't mean, oh well, this is like these guys who are like, well, I know the only reason she loves me is because of my money, but I still love her. It's just like, wait, what? No, I can't love a woman who only loves me because I have money. If you remove money from me and then she wouldn't love me, well, I could never love that woman because I could never trust that woman because she's not really loyal, is she? She's only loyal as far as her bread is buttered. She's only loyal as far as I can provide security and money for her. And if you take that away from me, then she's not loyal. Then she doesn't really love me, does she? So I can't really love someone who's not really loyal to me, who wouldn't fundamentally stick with me through thick and thin. I could never love someone like that. I could never trust someone like that. So he's wrong for saying that. That's not correct.
Okay.
Okay, but why is no one talking about this dupe?
This dupe. Not that one, this one.
Stop expecting them to be something that they're not. Let's take a really good example, like a current example right now. All the conflict that's been going on in the Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. How many of these women fled the Ukraine? I mean, Ukraine was known for having the most beautiful women in the world, and they were actually quite well behaved. I've been to Ukraine, I've experienced it. They're actually quite nice women, and a whole bunch of them basically just fucked off out of the country and went to neighboring countries and sought shelter with dudes in those other countries. I know because I have friends who've taken a few women in various neighboring Eastern European countries. You might know who I'm talking about. Now, what is that?
Yes, that means female nature is shallow. That means female nature, it only sticks with the winners. That means female nature, of course, if you really know what happened in Ukraine, they had no choice. They couldn't stay because the Ukrainian officials or the Ukrainian government told them to leave because the entire country is under siege. So they didn't have any choice to stay. So they didn't leave on their own accord. I'm about 95% sure that they were, it was a rule that they had to leave the country. So that's not, but it is female nature to get out of, it is female nature to protect themselves above anything else. It's basically solipsism. Is the world revolves around me. If it's not beneficial for me, screw who's ever involved. I'm leaving. It's just selfishness. And yes, most women will not, unfortunately, unless it's for her child. A woman would die for her child, but she would probably not die for her husband, or probably not. I don't know. Maybe some women would, but it's just not in their nature. And so he's correct there. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't instill any confidence. I mean, like, yeah, it's like that's the whole point. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, they're not loyal.
Like, they've left all the actual Ukrainian men to die in conflicts, and the women have just fucked off. What does that tell you? Like, it just tells you, if you're red-pilled, that is evidence of true female nature. They're not going to stick around and fight. They're going to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And they're going to look for men who can keep them safe.
There you go.
It's just female nature. Stop, again, tiger got stripes. Stop.
So how could you love that? How could you, I just accept that and I love women for what they are? It's like, no, I could never love a woman for that. I could never settle down with a woman for that. I could never, that's just me. I mean, some guys like the fake steak. Some guys are just okay with it. And for me, it's like, hell no, you're not solid. You weren't with me in the gym shooting free throws. So when I go pro, why should you be by my side? It's like, I saw LeBron James. I swear to God, man, I'm sorry for saying that, but I shouldn't say that phrase. It's not a good phrase, but LeBron James, when he had the scoring title, he gave like all the credit to his wife. He's like, my wife is the real all-time leading scorer. And I'm just like, you wouldn't have the same woman if you were not LeBron James, man. She chose you because you were the man. And it's like, that's blue pill. Guys don't know female nature, so they think like, oh yeah, my wife stuck with me. Like, stuck? What do you mean stuck with you? You were always a winner. She chose the winner, and your wife didn't stick with. Yeah, she was by your side because you were providing her value. You were providing her success that she wants vicariously through the man. I've said that on my channel a ton in the past, that women live vicariously through men's success. That men are success objects. Women are sex objects. Men are success objects. I've said that a million times. So it's like, how could you love something like that? To me, it's fundamentally off-putting. It's like, get away from me. I don't want anything to do with that. That's not red pill rage to think that, or it's not red pill rage to not want something that's fundamentally shallow and disloyal to you if you don't provide something. That's not red pill rage. That's not like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that's bad in saying I don't want to love somebody whose love is conditional. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a total normal reaction, right? Who says you have to love a snake? Who says you have to love something that is like, anyway, so yeah.
Expecting them to be something they're not. I don't hate women. I don't have a problem with women at all. I absolutely love women. But again, I'm going to reiterate this. I don't expect them to be something they're not. I expect them to be kind of retarded. I expect them to be goofy. I expect them to try and use their emotions, to manipulate people. I expect them to act manipulative because it's the only tool that they actually have. If you think about it this way, men get what they want, or traditionally, men got what they want out of the world through violence. That was the way that men went about solving problems. And
okay, here you go. So now he's getting into some feminist ideologies. Now he's getting into where he's actually has some misandrous concepts that he's spewing out. Not every man in history got everything he wanted through violence. I mean, that's an insane proposition. That's an insane thing to say. Maybe some kings and some kingdoms did, per se, but that doesn't mean it's all men. That means it's evil rulers who and not all kingdoms were warring kingdoms. There was many peaceful kingdoms in history. I wouldn't say many, but there were peaceful kingdoms and peaceful kings and peaceful men who didn't want to harm anybody else. So he's trying to imply that female nature is violent, which is a radical feminist ideology. So he's dipping into some very, very misandrous territory there. And what he also said there was that, like, oh, women are idiots, or women are dumb, and they shouldn't be held accountable. And that's just massively part of the problem. That's a beta blue pill white knight concept, is that, oh, well, women are idiots anyway, so you can't put any accountability on them. You can't put any responsibility. You just gotta, she's a woman, so she's an idiot, so I love her for what she is. That's the most misogynistic thing ever. Because you're not putting any accountability. You're saying, oh, I don't expect you to be mature. I don't expect you to ever grow up. And then some women never do grow up, and they're in perpetual misery because they're always victims of their own stupid, bad, I can't say that, immature behavior. And then they never grow. And it's because guys like this guy are not putting any pressure on them, not putting any responsibility on them. It's like, men, I wouldn't say men have got everything they want through violence. Men have gotten everything they've wanted in history, or I should say men have gotten everything they've gotten in history through competence. That's the difference, is that men have to bring something to the table. Men have to perform successfully in order to pay the rent, in order to put food on the table. There has to be some kind of value that men are performing, that men are conjuring up, and women just have to show up, and that's a problem. And that's why women have the attitude that they can get away with whatever they want, and that's why they commit such bad behavior. And so to remove the accountability from women on that is just a huge blunder. It's a really big, crappy thing to say. It's a big, bad mistake. And a lot of guys hold that idea. Well, she's just a woman. Or it's like, would you want your woman to just be like a little child? Oh yeah, come here. Oh yeah, build me a sandwich. Goodbye. Like, I hate guys who treat women like that. And women should hate guys who treat women like that. It's so demeaning. It's objectifying. It is, it's like, you are assuming I'm a child. And some women like that, I guess. Some women don't like responsibility. Some women are like, oh yeah, I'm just this dumb woman. It's like, to me, that's perpetual misery, because I would never want to lose my autonomy, in the sense that I'm a sovereign individual and I make my own choices, and I like that. I like that I'm not wandering through life like a child. I like that I'm not wandering through life like, oops, I did that. Oops, so somebody come save me. Like I like that, because it's like, hey, actions have consequences, and if I do a positive action, I can have a positive consequence or outcome. If I do a negative action, I can have a negative consequence or outcome. And I like that, because it helps me. It helps me grow. It helps me mature. It helps me get the best out of life. But if you're wandering through life like, oops, did I do that? Oh, I need a man to come save me. I mean, that's the most demeaning thing. And I think real feminism, if you're going to have the term feminism, obviously it's been hijacked and just, it's a gender supremacy cult, and it's a man-hate cult. It's horrible. But if you're going to have real quality feminism, it needs to be founded, it needs to have the foundation of responsibility and truth and autonomy and accountability, because that is what empowers. That's what's really empowering, which is why modern feminism and second wave, third wave feminism, radical feminism is such a horrible, anti-human, anti-woman ideology, because it strays away from empowerment. To say that, oh yeah, going to have sex, that's empowerment. I mean, what a lie. What a horrid lie to say that sex, that promiscuity and loose sex is empowering. It's the opposite of that. That's the real demeaning thing. That's the thing that is making you really objectified. Oh, I'm going to use sex to get what I want. That's the real demeaning thing. What's really empowering is to say, hey, your consequences have actions, and that's a good thing, because if you do have good, your consequences have actions. Your actions have consequences, and that's a good thing, because if you have good actions, then you'll have good outcomes. If you have bad actions, then you'll have bad outcomes, and that's very empowering. In fact, I would argue that that's the definition of being an adult. The definition of being a mature adult is taking responsibility for your actions and being accountable and saying, oh yeah, I messed up. I need to change. I need to become a different person. I need to stop manipulating. I need to stop using. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. I need to, be honest with myself, be honest with others, treat others with kindness, love, and respect, and stop being so selfish, and stop putting my needs above other people's needs, and stop hurting other people in order to get what I want. And these are not things that modern feminism teaches women. So it can't be empowering. And this is part and parcel, what he's saying is part and parcel of the problem. Oh yeah, I expect women to be immature. I expect them to be manipulators. It's like, no, the worst type of women are like that. And if women are like that, then they're the worst type of women, and it's sad. And that needs to change. And we can play a part in trying to change that somehow.
And getting what they wanted out of the world. Women, on the other hand, they don't have the capacity for violence that men have. They're not as strong as us.
Do.
They're not built for it. So what do? They use manipulation. They use emotion. They use coercion. Cool. That is their tool.
So this guy's such a doofus right here. So he's assuming that how men get everything in life is through violence, which is just objectively an idiotic thing to say, first of all. Second of all, he's saying, oh, well, women can't use violence. No, there's plenty of violent women out there. There's plenty of women who physically abuse their partners. There's plenty of women who murder, kill, steal, lie, etc. There's plenty of women who do all the bad things that men do. So I would just say that women are not. No, the real truth is that women manipulate because they don't want to be competent like men. Men don't get what they want through violence. Men get what they want through competence. Men are successful in life through competence, through a quality career, through a quality occupation. Women, on the other hand, are trying to manipulate, and because either they can't or they don't want to put in the effort to compete with men in careers, which is why something like affirmative action is such a weird, sick thing, because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna hire you just based on your gender, just based on your race, which isn't that fundamentally racist? Isn't that bigoted? Like you're choosing you're not choosing a guy because he's a white male. Instead, you're choosing a black woman because it's affirmative action. Isn't that kind of fundamentally racist? Not based on competency or qualification or skill sets or benefit to the company. That can't be good. That can't be real or truthful or objective or, that's not a meritocracy. We should live in a meritocracy. That is I don't know what that is. That's just a manipulation. So same kind of deal is that, yeah, women are manipulating through their emotions and using sex to get what they want. But that's not an ideal. That's the way it should be. It's like, no, you can be competent too. You just got to put in the work, and that's a failure of the family unit. It's a failure of parenting. That's a failure of schooling. That's a failure of the community by allowing that to happen, which is what happens when you take away checks and balances, when you take away social stigma for promiscuity, which is what they did back in second wave feminism. And why is that such a problem? Because now women learn to manipulate. Oh, well, if I just be promiscuous, I can get what I want. I can get free drinks. I can get free dinner. I can get OnlyFans. Men will pay for me. That's why we have an epidemic of single moms. That's why we have an epidemic of pornography. That's why we have an epidemic of women out here selling themselves instead of being quality mothers. And it's causing a downward spiral in society. So what he's saying is just nonsense, and that's the quality. What he's saying is anything but red pilled. That's the quality of the red pill, is it tells the truth about all that. Hey, this is not right. This is not real. This is not okay. It's immoral. It's bad. It's hurting society. It's objectively, statistically bad for children. It's objectively, statistically bad for families. It's objectively, statistically bad for marriage. It's objectively, statistically bad for women. Women are not happy with this modern life. Women are statistically, objectively happier as mothers at home. It's what they like to do, but instead we've lied to them and said, oh, you can join the workforce. Oh, you can go on OnlyFans. So what happens if they try to join the workforce and they don't like it because it sucks and they'd rather be in the kitchen? They're like, well, I don't want to do that because that's what modern feminism has brainwashed me into believing is misogynistic and part of the patriarchy, and I don't want to be in the kitchen, even though you really do want to be in the kitchen. In reality, you want to be, in deep down in your nature, you want to be a mother. And this is why women are crying and freezing their eggs and sad that they're being ghosted at age 35, is because deep down they really wanted to be a mother. But society was like, oh, you need to go be a businesswoman, or you need to go work, and then they don't like work, so they end up saying, well, what's an easier way? Well, guys have always wanted to have sex with me. Guys have always wanted to guys have always bought me drinks because I got a nice ass. Why don't I just sell myself on OnlyFans? And that's why we got this downward current of degeneracy. So what this guy's saying is part of the problem, playing into the problem. But what do you expect from a porn star? What do you expect from a guy who started out as part of the problem? You think he's really going to have any answers? You think he's really going to tell you the solution to how to fix the problems here? Nah.
If you understand that, that's fine. There's no reason to get mad at them for using that, right? It's that old fable of the scorpion and the toad, the scorpion and the frog, right? Scorpion.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Shut up. Okay, so yeah, it's not that we're mad at them. Well, I mean, you should. If I don't know about mad, but to hold somebody accountable, you have to. The point of direction to where whether it's anger or whether it's disdain or whether it's, and I'm not saying that, I'm not suggesting that red pill guys are like that, but the direction of the truth, I'll say this phrase, the direction of correction should be directed towards where the problem is. And if the problem is the behavior of the person, then instead of deflecting, that's denial, deflecting and saying, oh, it's society's problem, or oh, it's just their nature, it's the way they are, ha ha ha, you just got to deal with it, ha ha ha. No, the direction of correction should go towards where the problem is. If the problem is their behavior, then their behavior at least there should be an attempt to correct the behavior by checks and balances, social stigma, by negative reinforcement. And what's negative reinforcement is to come around and say, hey, you need to change this behavior. What would a parent do? A parent would have a counseling session. A parent would try to teach them differently, right? So, yeah, and I know there needs to be mercy and love and grace and all these kind of things that go into that, because it's not an easy thing to change. It's not an easy thing to, particularly when you don't want to do something. If it's easier to just go be a hoe, it's easier to just go be a porn star. It's easier to just go, sell your booty online. It's easier to do that, right? Than to be a quality human being with, checks and balances, responsibilities, accountability, all these things. But that's what men have to do. So if you think you're equal to men, then that's what you should do, because that's what men have to do. Men have to put up or shut up, or we get fired, or we're losers. We get no sex, and that's how men need to change women. Is say, no, I'm not going to reward you for acting like a child. I'm not going to marry you if you're fundamentally shallow. If your love is conditional, I'm not going to marry you if. And that's a hard choice for men, because it's like, hey, I have to. I might be alone forever. I might be alone for the rest of my life, and it's like, but if that's what it takes, I don't know. But guys are out here walking away in mass and saying, hey, I don't want none of this. You're not a quality woman. You're not it. And some women are taking no, and some women are like joining the red pill as far as like speaking the truth. And some women are woke. Some women are red pilled. Believe it or not, I've seen it. It's happening more and more. Women are learning the truth about female nature because the red pill has become so popular. So what he's suggesting is part of the problem. To remove accountability, to remove, I wouldn't use the word blame, because that's a pretty strong word, but I would say responsibility, to remove the pressure of responsibility from the person who is exhibiting the bad behavior. It's a mistake. That's not the answer, right? That's not the answer. So if it's a losing battle, at least it's an honest battle, as opposed to joining the dark side, as opposed to eating the fake steak, as opposed to, oh, well, I can't beat him, so I might as well join him. Like, no, I'm sorry, but I can't love somebody who's only going to love me because I butter her bread, who's only going to love me because I provide security. I can't love somebody who is going to leave me if she finds somebody better, or leave me if I go through a depressive period, or leave me if I'm no longer fun, or leave me or cheat on me if something changes. And I'm not going to live my life as a clown jumping through hoops to make one woman happy. I can't live like that, man. I'd rather be alone. And as sucky and sad and lonely as that type of lifestyle is, I guess you could call it monk mode or whatever, or just being alone, that it's better than compromising my integrity, compromising my energy, because it takes a lot of energy to be fake. I'm just not that way. I'll just tell somebody straight up, hey, I don't like your shit. I don't like this. I don't like that you're fake like this. I don't like that it's conditional. I'm not your little dancing bear. I'm not gonna jump through your hoops. You love me when I have bad days, or you don't love me at all. You love me when I'm broke, or you don't love me at all. I don't want nothing to do with you. I mean, that's a very crude way to put that. I mean, there's better ways to put it, I guess, but I'm just not that type of person. I tell somebody straight up, hey, I don't like this. I don't like the way you're going about it. I don't like this. And so for somebody like me, yeah, I'm not somebody who's gonna settle and take a lot of crap. That's not how I am. And so if you love me, then you love me and you're down for me whenever. And I've lost many girls because of that, because I would not settle. I would not compromise. I don't want an ex-slut. I don't want a woman who's doesn't have a good character. I don't want a woman who doesn't love God. I don't want a woman who's shallow and her she'll leave me if I don't make enough money. And so that's a very, 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 very small demographic of potential women that I could be with. So there you go. And that's why I am what I am. That's why I'm red pilled, and I wouldn't necessarily call myself MGTOW, because I haven't given up necessarily that there's not going to be the right woman out there, but she's going to have to be real special. She's going to have to I mean, she's a unicorn, and that's what they always say in the repo. Oh, or even the MGTOW guys say, oh, there's no such thing as a unicorn, and maybe that's true. Maybe their nature is the way it is, and so maybe I'm still living in denial that right one will come along. But I don't know if I call it denial. I just call it, that's my standards. You know, that's my I can't go against that, because then I'd be compromising my own self, and I can't buy a woman. I don't want to buy love. I don't want that. And that's not part of who I am. It's not part of what I want. Not to say I don't want to improve. Not to say I don't want money. Not to say I don't want to make my life easier and nicer and better, and thus making her life easier, nicer, and better. It's not that. It's that, you know, where's the loyalty? Where's the real love? You know. And I've had women say to me like, oh, you want a mother or something, like, because a mother will love you regardless. A mother will love you no matter how bad you're doing, but a woman won't. And so does that mean I'm not accepting female nature? Maybe. But if I can't accept it, then if that's what it is, then I can't accept it, I guess. So I could never trust or fully love someone who I know is like that deep down. So, but that's just where I'm at. Maybe things will change. Maybe in the future I will, bend to that, or I'll, maybe I'll be like, well, I'll give you a little bit of grace. I know you're like that, but I still want to be with you. Or I don't know. I don't know, man. I guess you would say it's a compromise. I guess you would say that. You would say it's a compromise. That you'd be like, well, she's still with me or something. And I've gone through periods in some of my videos in the past where I've tossed that idea around where, like, I guess you're compromised. It's like, yeah, she's with me, and if I lose my money, she wouldn't be with me, but at least she's choosing me. She could choose some other guy with money, kind of thing. I don't know, man, but all I know is if a woman really loves you and wants you, she's going to stay with you. If a human being really loves something and wants that thing, it's going to stay with that thing through thick and thin. And so, like, honestly, it's a turnoff for me, that type of behavior, that type of conditional love that women have. It's a turnoff. I'm not attracted to it. It's not something that I could love or fall in love with, which is probably a big part of the reason why I'm still single. But anyway, I'll just leave it there. That's some things to think about. But I just think this is part of the problem, that type of mentality. I think that accountability is a thing. I think that education is a thing. I think that learning and growing and maturing is a thing. But we're just not assigning that to women for whatever reason. And maybe that needs to change. But that's just my thoughts for today. Appreciate you guys listening. It's been Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.